to tonight's edition of TPI's Weekly News. The Dream Team is back.
Back in person today.
We're back in person. It's good to have you here.
I know. We haven't seen each other in months. Well, that time you brought me lunch.
It's true. From
good.
Afar. I threw her a sandwich from across the yard.
You know, life has to return to some sort of normal at some point.
Yeah.
And, you know, best we can do is just keep taking precautions and get back to normal. So,
we're still not sitting super close together.
Yeah, we're trying to keep our distance the best we can here, so...
Yeah, so tonight we, as usual, dig into some major news from around our Tri-County area. In Tallapoosa County, there was obviously that fatal fire that claimed the lives of three. But some good news we'll talk about is the tax revenues have actually gone up this year. Over in Elmer County, we'll talk about, we'll hear from our local reporters about possible school system improvements, Tallahassee beginning its summer reading program, and also the sports world. The restart of the sports is underway and how that's going.
Yeah, so we will dig right all into that here in a little bit, but first we are going to give you a little bit of an update on the latest coronavirus case numbers across the state and locally. Statewide in the last 14 days, there have been 5,558 new cases reported statewide, and that comes out to a total of 21,626 confirmed cases of the coronavirus since March 13th. Across the state.
Yeah, locally we have had increases since our last show a week ago in all three of our counties. Tallapoosa County now at 451 cases, which is an increase of 19 since we last talked last Wednesday. And Coosa County also just had an increase of 1 with 41 cases.
Yeah, and that one increase from Coosa County actually came today. So, Coosa County has been pretty stagnant for the most part. Tallapoosa County, an increase of 19 in the last week. Is an increase, but definitely a little bit flatter than what we had been seeing in the past. Over in Elmore County, though, there has been, a pretty drastic jump over there. Now 447 confirmed cases as of today, which is an increase of 75 in the last week.
Yeah, so as we said, obviously life does have to sort of return to normal at some point, but remember to keep those precautions as much as you can when you are out and about, returning to work, those kinds of things. So we do want to dig into some things that have happened in Tallapoosa County. As I mentioned, that house fire claimed the lives of 3. There was a teenager inside the home that survived.
Yeah, so that investigation is still ongoing, but officials have said that there didn't seem to be any arson or explosion. So Alexander City Fire Department Captain Jeremy Spears said that it's being looked into as an accidental fire at this time. We will provide you any updates we get on that.
Yeah, so over in Reeltown, the elementary school has actually started to break ground, the new elementary school. They're going to host a groundbreaking ceremony on June the 26th. The old school was built in 1929 and is just completely maxed out at this point.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are excited to see that project, finally come to fruition. It still is a ways away, from being complete. I think about 18 months is what, they're estimating before it is complete. But it's being funded by that 1-cent sales tax approved in Tallapoosa County. It's going to have state-of-the-art technology, a modernized design, and a separate auditorium and gym.
Yeah, and speaking of taxes, the tax revenues in Alexander City are actually looking quite good. It's opposite of what the state has seen, in sales tax revenue going down. But it looks like more of that peak lake season than a city that's been through, a shutdown and a pandemic here in Alex City.
Yeah, they said that it could be because more people were at home, so they were shopping here instead of spending money outside of town. And also, with the restaurants down, more people were going to grocery stores, cooking at home, spending more money. So definitely good to see that sales tax actually go up in Alexander City. You can read more about that in the Outlook as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to hear from our Elmer County reporters. welcome back again. I'm Lizzie Arbogast, sports editor here at Tallapoosa Publishers, alongside managing editor Santana Wood. We did talk some coronavirus numbers as well as some Tallapoosa County news, and now we want to dig into the top stories in Elmore County this week.
Yeah, so we are going to hear from our Wetumpka Herald reporter, Daniel Dye, who has some news on Elmore County schools. They are considering some improvements to their technology infrastructure, hardware and software, and that is through some funding. So you can hear more about that from him now.
Good evening, Daniel Dye, senior reporter for Tallapoosa Publishers, here with the education report from Elmore County Public Schools. Yesterday at a special called Elmore County Board of Education meeting, Superintendent Richard Dennis laid out plans to update the school's technology. The improvements are intended to deliver a better educational experience for the county's 11,000 public school students.
We plan to put a Chromebook in every student's hands this next year. We have made those purchases and have those either already in hand or they will arrive by the end of this month. In addition to that, we're looking at expanding our virtual platform. Currently, we use in grades 6 through 12 Edgenuity, and we're expanding even further. We're going to have Odyssey-ware available for our kindergarten through 5th grade students. As we begin to develop and expand this program, we're looking to add more infrastructure into our schools. Some of the funding that you hear discussed with the legislature and even from the governor, we're reaching out and attempting to pursue those grants and those funds. The technology, the infrastructure with technology, and then one of the big things would be the availability of the internet capability available to students. We're looking to try to reach out and accommodate in that area as well through a number of processes. So those are things that cost money, and this money, if we can acquire these funds, and as much as possible, we'll utilize them for that purpose.
As of today, Elmore County Public Schools expects to receive $1.8 million from the CARES Act passed by Congress and signed by President Donald Trump. They're also waiting to hear if they'll receive additional funding from sources such as the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund, or GEAR Fund.
Thank you so much to Daniel for that report, as well as to Mr. Richard Dennis for giving us the information on those possible improvements. We are also going to hear from Tallapoosa's Carmen Rogers, who's joining us to tell us about the summer reading program that has begun in Tallahassee. Here's Carmen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Carmen Rogers with Tallapoosa Publishers. I'm here at the Tallahassee Community Library, where inside area children are participating in the annual summer reading program.
Today we're doing fairy tales, and the kids had a fractured story of Hansel and Gretel, where I took the Hansel and Gretel's characters and changed the story up so that they went to the cottage, and it wasn't a wicked witch, it was a good witch, and all she wanted to do was learn how to fly. Now they're doing crafts with finger puppets and coloring them, and they get to take them home, and a bonus craft of the Pied Piper. My 10:30 class is full. My 2 o'clock, I have a few more openings on that, and then next week we have entertainers coming to both classes. They haven't canceled on me yet.
All right, so we appreciate hearing from Carmen and Tallahassee giving us the latest over there at the library, and we are going to talk about sports a little bit, hear from our sports reporter Caleb Turrentine, talk about how area football teams have finally gotten back to the field.
Football teams from around the state have been excited to get back on the field as they've been cleared to begin summer workouts over the last 2 weeks. And local schools, while being excited to just get back together, have also used this time to go over the new guidelines and practices that will be in place for these summer months. Stanhope Elmore split their first practices into position groups and ended each session with a meeting in the bleachers of the stadium as Coach Brian Bradford spoke to them about what it's going to take to abide by these rules and how things are going to be different moving forward, while also staying hard at work. Players have started these workouts focused on conditioning to catch up on the lost time over the last 2 months. All players have have tried their best to work out from home, but it's going to be different altogether, and teams are starting to ease them back in to what they need to be doing to be at full strength when the season rolls around in August. Wetumpka finished their first session up on Tuesday morning with a conditioning test that the coaching staff put together. Coach Tim Perry said he was pleasantly surprised with how the players handled it in the first practice, and he expects that to only keep getting better as the summer continues. Make sure to pick up this week's paper for more coverage of everyone's first week of practice, and stay tuned for more coverage leading up to the first week of fall practice, which begins this year on July 27th. I'm Caleb Turntine reporting for Tallapoosa Publishers.
Thank you so much, Caleb, for bringing us that. All of our area sports teams are officially back doing summer workouts. Some waited until this week to start, but definitely a lot of fervor around the area for sure. Official practice only starts now like 6 weeks away. The season is, 9 weeks away, I think. So we're definitely very excited about that.
For sure. So as always, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you so much for trusting us as your local news source. We will be back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. to deliver you the latest and biggest news of the week. Again, I'm Santana Wood, Managing Editor, alongside Lizzie Arbogast, Sports Editor. Y'all have a good night.